Hello everyone, this is James Shore with another test-driven JavaScript video. I'm recording this on January 20th, 2013, picking up several days after our last recording. And in our last recording, we were working on fine-tuning our mouse gestures. So we have the ability to draw on our WeWikiPaint homepage, and that's all tested. And what we're trying to do is get it so that when you drag outside of the window or the drawing area, it will stop drawing. And that gave us some trouble, a very strange trouble, in fact. If we go really slowly out of here, then it works. If we go fast, then it doesn't stop drawing. And what was most frustrating about this was that our tests seemed to pass. Now, they're not passing right now because we were trying to make it work, but they seemed to pass. And what it came down to was our test was passing, or it seemed to be passing. I'll get to that in a moment, even though the code was actually wrong. Now, if I know what the issue here is. The mouse move event is only happening on when we're inside the drawing area. So if we move the mouse outside the drawing area, we're not capturing that event. So fixing this problem is really, really simple. We just need to change that to operate on the document, or we could use mouse leave or something else. And if we do that, then the gesture, the drag operation stops perfectly. So that's great, right? It's solved. Well, no. And this is actually one of the most frustrating things about test-driven development. When you're testing something new, and you won't be doing that nearly as often as we are. Typically, you'll spend the first couple of months of a project figuring out how to test it, and then you'll just keep doing that sort of stuff. But when you're testing something new, you will often spend way more time figuring out how to write the tests than you'll spend actually writing the software. And that can be, well, it can be really frustrating. So that's what we're facing here. We have the ability to make our code work, but the tests don't pass. So, the tests don't work. They don't work in several ways. First, what I'd like to do is I'd like to go get our test passing again. And we were experimenting here with sending events to the document. And I want to just undo that, get everything back to a known good state. There, our tests are passing. Now, the other thing I noticed was that the test that we thought was supposed to be testing whether or not the mouse leaves the drawing area, we actually never uncommented that. So I was mistaken before when I said the test passed, but the code failed, except that actually the tests do pass and the code does fail. But the test that was supposed to check this wasn't actually running. So yeah, we've got a test here that says, and now now we're running it. It says we're putting the mouse down inside the drawing area, moving outside the drawing area, moving back, and then letting go to the mouse, which should be happening here. And we're expecting not to see that second mouse movement. And I'm pretty sure that test is going to pass. And the reason it's passing is because we are simulating events in a different way than the code actually works. We're sending mouse events even when the mouse is outside the drawing area. So the test is basically saying mouse down here, go out here, mouse down here, go out here, come back, and only see the one line. That's what our test is saying. But what we do when we actually do this is we put the mouse down inside the drawing area, we move out here, and the event doesn't fire on the drawing area, it fires on the background. And then we bring it back in and it fires on the drawing area again. The reason our test passes is because it fires on the drawing area right here. It fires on the drawing area no matter what. So, again, this is easy to fix. We just look at the document rather than the drawing area. But I want to see the test fail. And as I said, this can be one of the most frustrating things about test-driven development is how do we get the test to work, especially when you're doing UI stuff, which of course you're going to be doing a lot of in JavaScript. So let's Let's see. Actually, let's not check that in yet. So when I'm faced with this kind of problem, sometimes I'll hack at it as I did in the last episode, and you saw where that got us. Nowhere. But often, if I can't figure it out right away, and I haven't figured this out yet, I've looked at it a little bit off camera, but I still don't know exactly how to deal with this. Often, when I see something like this, I'll actually take a big step back and focus on cleanup. Because many times, what makes this hard to understand is just all the extra cruft in our code. And the thing that needs cleanup the most in this code is all this duplication here, and maybe we can somehow make our tests a little more clear as well. So I think that's what I'd like to do next is just clean up, see if we can make the issue more obvious. So let's go ahead and make a note that right here, this test passes, but when done manually, the code doesn't work. Okay. So what I'd like to do is first I'd like to deal with this duplicate drawing area setup. And I think the way I want to do that is to take advantage of Mocha's ability to do multiple describes. I hope I remember how to do this right. As I recall, Mocha allows you to nest describes and give each nested describe its own setup and teardown. So let's say, so here we're saying drawing area should have the same dimensions as its enclosing div. Now let's say drawing area line draws so drawing area line drawing draws a line in response to mouse drag. I'm just trying to see if that makes it reads clearly. Drawing area line drawing draws a line in response to mouse drag. I think that makes sense. So let's go ahead and bring this down here to the bottom. And reformat everything. And let's just take out this code entirely, the one that is supposed to consider the border. We've got border and stuff on our to-do list. And let's take this out as well. I just want to clean up this code, make there be less to have to deal with. So over here in our to-do, we need to click tracking needs to account for margin, border, and padding. And let's convert that, test that EM is converted to PX. Okay. All right, so this should still work. Okay. Yeah. Just going to check this in because we're about to do some fairly major changes. Just going to say got tests working again. It's a pretty lousy message, but all right, so now I'm going to create a before each that does this. And let's see if that actually works. So what I've done is I've taken out the creation of the drawing area with a standard height and width. Okay, that still works. Great. What that means is that now we should be able to take this out and this out. Basically take out all this duplicated setup. All right. And it looks like when I automatically reformat it, it's something kind of funky with our arrays, but I guess that's okay. Kind of like it, actually. Okay. So what did this get us? Well, not a whole lot. Like I said, often if I'm stuck, I'll just go work on something else for a little while, clean up the code in hopes that that will somehow unblock me. So now let's just take a look at this. So we're describing line drawing. Draws a line in response to the mouse drag. Really want this to be the whole thing. Down, move, up. Draws multiple line segments when mouse is dragged multiple places. Draws multiple line segments when there are multiple drags. Yeah, that's good. Does not draw a line segment when mouse button is released. Does not draw line segments when mouse button is not down. Stops drawing line segments when mouse button is up. And stops drawing when mouse leaves drawing area. Okay. Well, this is not getting us a lot of places. It's just cleanup, but it is better, I think. All right, let's make sure all of that actually passed. Yeah, so we didn't change anything, just cleaned it up, which is good. But I don't think that really helps us much. Well, let's go ahead and check this in. We cleaned up our duplicate setup in line drawing tests. All right. Just out of curiosity, let's see what happens when our test fails. Drawing area, line drawing, draws multiple line segments from mouse is dragged multiple places. Well, I think that's okay. Okay, so all right, well, we've cleaned up the code, which is good, but we haven't made any progress on this question of how do we test the events. But I think we will get there. It's I think what we need to do here is we just need to say manually which object we want the event to go against, whether or not it's the drawing area or the document or what have you. So I'm still not sure how to deal with this. We will keep working on it though. That is all the time we have for this episode, so we'll pick up with that again next time. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you next time.